Hello and welcome to Dash 28 Live. I'm your host, Mike Atkins, and today we are bringing you the Table 2 match from the final round of the It's Always Sunny in Pannithor Universal Battle Kings of War tournament. Our players today are going to be Jesse Bilbija. Am I saying your name right?
Yeah, you nailed it.
Awesome. Here we go. And Emiliano de Liscia.
Almost, yeah.
Close enough. Cool. You guys are going to be playing Invade here in the final round. And joining me to commentate are Brendan Williams, Steve Forster, and Alex Coos. Hey, guys.
Hey.
Steve is on babysitting duty at the moment, so that's why his camera's turned off. So I guess we actually have an additional commentator.
Yep.
Both Baby and Cat will be making guest appearances.
Yep.
During the course of the game. Okay, so without any further ado, let's go ahead and bring up you guys' lists so we can get the game started. And I think first I've got, these are Jesse's Goblins. So Jesse, could you talk us through your list, please?
Yeah, absolutely. So starting off, I've got my Wall of Trash with four Hordes of Rabble here. Next up, we've got 3 troops of Mob Beasts. They're kind of plugging some gaps in the back line if needed, and then becoming expendable if they need to be sacrificed. The meat of my army, one of my favorite units from the Goblin list, are the Mincer Mobs. So I've got 4 regiments, all kitted out. So I've got 1 with the Boots of Striding, 1 with Caterpillar, 1 with Sharpness, which becomes terrifying, and then the final one is with Brew of Haste, just to kind of stagger the lines a little bit. Moving along, I've got a little bit of shooting in the list with 2 Big Rocks Throwers and a Mop-Up Launcher. And then rounding out for my inspiring sources, I have a Flag Guy with Looted Insatiable Darkness for a Bane Champ. One of my favorite units in my list is the Sting It with Wings of Honey Maze. So you get a nice little 20-inch scout at the beginning of the game, and he can cause some pretty interesting problems in the back line on characters or war machines if needed. And then rounding out, we've got a Wiz with Inspiring Talisman and another Bane Chant. And then finally, we got Magua and Juus with nothing, because he's a living legend. Yeah, that's the list there. Just kind of want to try something different with Goblins. So this is what I've been using over the course of the tournament, and I've actually been really enjoying this list.
Cool. And which special character for the tournament did you pick?
I took Charlie. The Cloak of Death was just something that I really liked on the individual. So he's been running around causing all sorts of mayhem over the last 4 rounds.
Fun. All right, cool. Thank you. And now let's click over to Emiliano's Undead.
Okay. I have 2 regiments of zombies, mostly for the unlocks and to get some objectives. This is a list I upgraded from one of at 2K, and the rights was one of the new things. I put it in regiment with Brave Strength. I used to use it as an anvil, but with the view of strength, it had the possibility of being also a hammer. Moreover, in the flanks, of course. 3 Revenant cavalry troops, chaff, hard chaff, zombie trolls with Brew of Sharpness, and a Thor in Ord. I think it's, in my opinion, one of the cheapest hammers in Undead, using the Brew of Sharpness. They hit similar to the next 2 units, 2 hordes of whites, that they are irregular. That's why I need the zombies. They are hitting, and when I see the maps of the scenery for the tournament, I decided to add the Boots of Trading and the Potion of Caterpillar, because they need to hit when they charge, to hit hard. Then I spent a lot of points in vampires. I have a vampire on that Pegasus with +1 to life leech, 2 vampire lords on horses, 1 with blade of slashing and 1 with mail of crushing. With those items, it's almost like they have 8 attacks instead of 7, and I found them to be very, very, very useful. They achieve a lot of different tasks in the game. Then the Lich King, again a new add to my 2K list, my usual. I put it the Blizzard 3, 40 points. I'm a bit of regretting it. I need yet to achieve something cool with it, but okay, it's inspiring, and with Surge 10, it gave me so much options. And I added Piercing Arrow because I had the points, and why not 1 more bone? Overall, thinking in individuals. When I looked at the tournament rules, the individuals points a lot between the special individual and killing more individuals than your opponent. And I choose a special character, Dennis.
Dennis. Okay, great.
Yes, I had a lot of high defense, a high nerves, so Dennis full running sounds good.
Cool. Very nice. All right, thank you for that. And now I'm going to bring up your UB room that you've set up for us. All right. So we are playing Invade today, so there's nothing special about the table setup or any objectives or anything. You guys rolled off, and Emiliano, I think, got to pick sides, so you picked the bottom. Cool.
Yep.
All right, and so looking at this table for folks that haven't played this tournament or haven't seen one of these before, you've got a big pile of rocks in the middle, and that is blocking terrain. You've got that tower over kind of in the top left that is also blocking terrain, and everything else is kind of what it looks like. Just for clarity, for the forests that are on this map, are you guys playing that any of the leaves that poke out over the base are part of the terrain or not?
No, we just chatted about it. In this case, the base covers almost every tree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In previous maps, yes, that's true.
There's a lot of hangover.
Yeah, I did the same.
Cool. Okay, awesome. Good to know. And then for that tower with the bits of wood sticking out, are you counting all the little bits as part of it as well? Okay. Okay, good. Cool. I think those are the only terrain questions I had. So now we're going to, if you guys wouldn't mind walking us through your deployment, we'll start with Jesse's up here on the top, starting over on the left.
Okay. Yeah. So starting left to right, we've just got a rabble horde just sitting over. So basically with the early deployment, I was able to just put down all the rabble first, followed by mobbies, and then kind of shift around. So over here, we've got a rabble horde. Rabble horde, the mincer boots, backed up by mob beasts. We've got the flag guy with Bane Chant sitting behind, providing inspiring. Another horde of rabble. Fairly easy deployment for the catapults here, just in the forest, giving me decent arc on either side. Not too much the rocks blocking in terms of targets. Then heavier weighted on this side in terms of killing power. I've got my 3 mincers, 2 more mobbies, the mop-up launchers sitting at the back, Magua and Juice sitting in the middle. And then over finally on the right side, we've got Charlie sitting behind the Wiz with inspiring, my 2 rabble hordes, and then the Sting It prior to his scout move here.
Okay, cool. And then Emiliano, if you could do the same as well, starting over here on the left.
Yeah, sure. I put the vampire on horse with this one with the maze of crushing, then some revenants and the right regiment behind, so I can keep it from at least 1 turn from the machines to be shot at. The same with the vampire on Pegasus. Here are the trolls with the potion of sharpness. Sorry. Another revenants. Here is on the left the Lich King, and on the right the Dennis, and behind a regiment of zombies. Another vampire on horse. The whites with this one is with the boots, and these whites are with the caterpillar. Then more revenant knights and another regiment of zombies. So I think we will have strong combat on the left
Yeah.
and try to advance and sustain on the left, on the right, sorry, and on the left try to advance and sustain something.
All right. Awesome. And as I said before, you guys are playing Invade. Do any of the commentators have any other questions? All right. I think we're all set then. Thanks so much, guys, for walking us through your game setup. Good luck to both of you. And we will see you back here after you're done playing.
Sure.
All right. See you soon. Thanks.
Yep. All right. Oops. Alex wasn't supposed to leave too. All right, guys.
He's just so used to
Right.
playing. He's like,
He's-
I'm out. I'm going to go win this.
Okay, so yeah, I kind of like both of these lists. I think this is going to be kind of fun to watch.
Yeah, I play something. I've been running something very similar with goblins recently. With more fearless combat units with luggets and mincers, and it's a lot of fun to play against. You know, you come up with against goblins, you're thinking, war machine spam or trash, but you can still put out a bunch of drops and have some really good hitting power.
And so that was a scout move with the flying stingets, I think it is, over there on the side.
Yeah. I'm guessing he moved up reasonably safely out of zombie charge range and out of zombie surge range.
And just out of line of sight. Just out of line of sight of the Rev Cav there.
And putting himself in theoretically position to jump over the line or do something weird if he wins first turn. Which it looks like he didn't, right?
He did not. Yeah, no, that's
Okay.
going to be Emiliano going first, top of turn one.
Got the first turn.
So there is some surge in this list. What would he need for? How far is he from the Rev Cav? If the Rev Cav just pivot and go 8.
8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He would need 8, and he would need to not hit the table edge first, which I'm not sure
Okay.
that he could do with an angle to get him there.
Yeah, that's pretty annoying. Because that's on odds like Surge 16, which his list is not kind of packing a ton.
No, he's got a good, I think, surge 10 on that Lich King, but then I don't think he's got any surge anywhere else.
Do vampires come with like Surge 3? Or is that
No, you have to pay for it, and he did
Okay.
not because he wants those guys to be
punching
killers.
stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah, so both
Yeah.
these lists are interesting. The undead one at first sort of looks like a standard kind of undead list. It's got Rev Cav troops, incredibly well costed. It's got wraiths. It's got an extra hammer in the zombie trolls with sharpness, which is actually a neat little combo.
Yeah.
They're not that expensive, and they come with Crush 2 to begin with. So, yeah, they hit pretty hard. It's just sort of a stock large infantry. And then it feels like he dials it back to 2016 with mounted vampires making their comeback and doing work. So
I usually take one, and I really like it. There have been a lot of games where I wish that I had to. And also, the Vampire on Peg is also really good.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're pricey, but like they convert.
And then on the other side, we have fun combat goblins. So I know, Dino Lord Kyle Poole has been speaking a lot about the two units that sort of make the core of this list. But it is great to see them sort of piled in together and all of the hurt that they can put out.
Yeah. I think with the past probably 6 weeks or so, I've forgone big rock throwers in favor of wall pump launchers, and then they just serve really well with luggets and like troops of fleabag cavalry, and because they're not going to do a lot of damage in shooting, but adding an extra 6 attacks with that hit on fours with crushing one is just really valuable, and it's like a force multiplier. So I'm really digging the mob hub launchers these days.
Yep. The Mob Beast packs are great. At troop size, which he opted for, they are very fragile at 911, but they are only 80 points. Melee 3, 6 attacks with Crush 1, Vicious, Nimble, Wild Charge. Yeah. So they get a lot of rules for 80 points.
Yeah.
And
this undead list has like a blizzard that it could maybe use to try to snipe them, but I don't know if that's really what Emiliano wants to be shooting at with his only shooting.
Yeah.
Right.
And then the mincer mobs are
and he's gonna need
awesome.
to do like multi-charges to take out those
mincer mobs.
Yeah, because they're a dash 16, and with the defense 6 in the front, they are a pain to try to take off.
And they average around 24, 25 attacks because they're D6 plus 21. Without items at 200 points, melee 4 with built-in crush 1, thunderous 1.
And
so,
brutal.
Yeah, and brutal. So they're just adding that one extra on at the end. They are a great unit. They are an awesome unit.
And there's so many opportunities for cool modeling ideas. I mean, Kyle's gone with he goes with the whole dinosaur theme, but just ramshackle stuff. I have for mine. I actually have the Mantic mincers, but I'm adding in some of the pump wagons from the new Snotlink Blood Bowl kit, which I think are just really cool models.
Yep.
And then I love the Sting. It is cool. A lot of armies try and use a flying sort of killer character. And this guy has sort of every rule you want, but it's still dirt cheap.
It's 110 points with the wings.
With the wings, he has, and what I mean by all the rules, so he's got Scout natively, which gives him a chance for shenanigans, turning off shooting round 1, getting sort of round 1 charges before anyone can mess with you, putting yourself in position. He's got Stealthy and is an individual, so it's really hard to shoot him. Duelist, so his 4 attacks go up when he can punch a mage in the face. Vicious, and he's got a shooting attack in case he's not actually in combat. So it's not a great shooting attack, but vicious 4 attacks on 4. And for some reason I can't say the word vicious. He's great. He's in that really cheap side. So
quick shout out to Paige. I love the term "until I took a daughter to the knee."
Yeah, well,
it happens.
You find ways to work around that page.
Yeah.
Because the reason why my camera's off is because I have a 7-month-old sleeping on me right now.
Yeah. All right. So that was kind of big. So that was just the blizzard shot from the Lich King over to that sting that we were just talking about. It looks like he did 1 wound, but with a 9 rolled, managed to waver it.
Yeah, that's pretty big.
I mean,
basically negating the scout move.
Yeah, it slows him down and makes him a lot less useful. But my assumption is he's just going to do some shenanigans to make him safe.
Sure. Well, there's nothing really even looking at him at this point,
right?
Except the vampire. Let's see how close the vampire is. 9, 12, 15. Yeah, the vampire can't get him next turn where he is. If he comes any closer, then he can probably get to him. And then, for those of you who aren't familiar, like the mounted vampires are definitely character killers. They're 7 attacks with duelist, and on 3s with crushing 2.
They're a blender.
They're a blender. Yeah, and that's the thing. Like looking at Emiliano's units, like everything that you want to get into combat and do anything is crushing 2. Like he's crushing 2 across the board with everything.
They Bane Chanted back at camp.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, they're pre Bane Chanted.
Right, but then looking across Jesse's army, it's like, they're rabble. They don't really care how much crushing strength you have. Their nerve is the whole thing. Or, well, we don't care. We're defense 6 to the front. So, it makes for an interesting matchup. Like, there's no obvious good targets for the undead to hit. They kind of want to flank everything that they want to get in combat with, or double charge everything, one or the other.
Yeah, he wounds on 2s or 4s. There's no like sweet spot of that 3 or whatever. It's
Right. It's all or nothing.
But yeah, it's interesting too because he's collapsed inward. He's sort of given up on ever getting around this army, which sort of makes sense. Emiliano, and he's sort of brought everything tighter towards the middle, and is going to be looking for doubles for capping off one side with sort of Revenant Cav and double charging, or getting sneaky little corners and flanks within the battle line. So it'll be interesting to see because his stuff is also Emiliano's stuff is also survivable to everything but those mincers. He doesn't care about rabble. He doesn't really care about the mob beast packs because they're only 6 attacks. It's really the mincers that are going to hurt him and not much else.
So he really wants to like pick which one he wants to kill, double charge it, chaff up the others that are nearby with RevCab troops, and then start working on surge flanks after he's punched a hole. Whereas I think Jesse just sort of wants to sort of slowly move forward and engage in like a hammer and anvil kind of style.
I mean, Jesse needs to make sure that theoretically they are large infantry, so rabble from the flank is going to do some damage, and taking that too many times will eventually catch your nerve. And he doesn't, the Lich King, I don't have his list up in front of me. I need to pull it up. Emiliano's.
He's Surge 10.
Yeah.
I'm not so worried about the Surge. The Surge can be really useful. That's a different conversation. I mean, the
Blizzard 3.
No, any healing, any drain life, anything.
No.
Nope. There's no wound reclamation in the.
No, he's got life leech, and the vampires have life leech 2, and the vampire on Peg has life leech 3 with the scripture. But that's it. So he's got to get in combat to get wounds back.
Mm-hmm. He's got to get in combat, but it does mean as he's buzzsawing through things, he's getting a little back. But it also means that he can't take too many counter punches because large infantry nerve will go away and get into danger zone quickly.
One charge reliably, but then anything else.
And Jesse, I mean, he's got the rabble hordes, and I mean, he does have one Maulpop launcher, so there is some utility there to throw a Maulpop on there. And he also has 2 choices of Bane Chant. So you can.
And artillery.
Yeah, and artillery.
And if that rabble horde on the right gets up on the hill, Thunderous Charge on 25 attacks, even if they're hitting on 5s, isn't nothing. So
right.
Yeah, that Thunderous Charge will help when it runs into that regiment of zombies. It's going to go get its way in another turn.
Yeah.
Well, you laugh, but like
still wounding on 2s.
It's still wounding on 2s.
But wounding on 2s plus.
Yeah, you laugh, but that hill, both those hills are sort of perfectly positioned. This is an interesting map because it almost feels a little bit like it's pretty open. You have that massive sort of area in between the 2 difficult pieces on the right that sort of has a hill just leading into it. Like, please come down me like a skate ramp and run into something.
All right, looks like Jesse has moved on to shooting, and he's drawn line of sight to a RevCab troop with his catapults.
Yeah,
which I think is probably the best target to go at.
Yeah, I mean, Brenton, your point earlier, he needs to wall things off after he charges. So if he can remove one of those RevCab troops, that means any double charge is at a further risk because he won't be able to wall off a counter charge.
And like his other option looks like zombies, and don't drop big rocks on zombies. It's just not fun.
No, it's not worth the trouble. Yeah. He's basically like dash 17 for nerve on his hammer units, except maybe the wraiths are 1 tick lower, but 1 defense higher, I think. Yeah, dash 16.
Mm-hmm.
And RevCab are dash 14. All right. Still unloading on that central unit of RevCab.
6 wounds, so that's pretty big.
That's a good solid round of shooting against a defense 5 unit,
And then there's Mop-Up still, right?
No, that Mop-Ups are done. I think he only drew line of sight with one of the big
he missed
throwers.
He missed the one.
He missed with the first one.
Okay.
Did, he said he did 3 with the other one.
Yeah. For an 8 twice, there's an 8 once.
8 again? Is it inspired? Yeah.
Yeah, the Lich King's right behind them. They should be inspired. Assuming that was the nerve check and he's not casting some other spell someplace.
Yeah, there's no point.
Good point to
Oh,
page,
what?
I think.
Oh, is it Dennis has
Dennis.
the rally? So
Oh,
they're dash
Dennis has
15.
rally.
Dash 15, yes.
Yeah, I took Charlie for my undead list, and after like the second game, I realized I really should have taken Dennis for rally.
Yeah, rally on RevCap troops is just broken.
It's sick.
Yeah.
That's coming from an undead player.
Yeah.
Well, that's that interesting thing about rally is we're kind of spoiled on it from second, where there was the banner of the Griffin, and it just went into every list, and basically literally went into every list because it is so good.
Oh,
But I will stop my rally conversation because we got spicy moves.
Oh, height 4. Yeah.
And,
Is it in the front
3,
or in the
6,
flank?
9, 12. It's in the front,
but
he can still fit.
He can still fit, and Magwa's an individual.
Oh yeah, right. Sorry, I wasn't sure.
He can do that, shenanigans.
Wait, Magwa's an individual?
Yeah, he's on a large infantry base or a large cat.
Large
base.
infantry.
Yeah, but has the individual special rule.
So if
Do
he
they
can
know
land
he
and
can
contact
do-
the corner,
Yeah, he can do that. That
spicy.
He can do the sneaky Tom Robinson. Hey, Britton, have you written an article about this exact situation by any chance?
I did. And there's
Yeah.
helpful.
Rainbow.
There are
gift.
helpful rainbow animated GIFs.
Yeah.
And I am trying to remember what I called this move. Because it made a really bad like a really just long and useless acronym.
Love it.
But yeah, so we'll do the quick explanation for anyone that is new watching this. What basically happens is the vampire on Pegasus is in the front. Because Magua is an individual, he moves up to an angle, tags the front left corner of Magua, so that he is contacting with his front, the front corner of Magua, the front left corner, which technically counts as his front. He is in a place where he can land and do that, and then Magua actually, because he is an individual, aligns to the Pegasus, turns to face him, and then the Pegasus squares up with that facing. It's sort of a crazy move. It's one of the only really kind of crazy moves in Kings of War. And there's an article on Dash 28 that explains it in diagrams and other stuff if you think this is nonsense. It's not nonsense. It's just a really tricky move. And he pulled it off here because Magua is an individual. And
Then he threw a hindered but duelist vampire into the flank, so that's going to really help. Because I was going to say, just the vampire it only has 7 attacks, so it's not guaranteed.
duelist.
But now the individual duelist in the flank, that means that's heavily favored.
Yeah.
So he doesn't actually
Magwa's
care
only
about
defense.
flanks.
Yeah.
But
He doesn't care about, but Magwa's only
It's the
defense
duelist.
5, and he's only at 12, 14. So
Yeah. Now you got 14 on 4s and 2s or 3s, and then 7 on 3s and 3s. So is he
So
defense?
I think
all you have to punish you is if he blows this up, which he has a good shot. All there is to punish him is a troop of Mincer Mob and some war machines that are way too close.
Yeah, he's under the lobber 12 inches.
Yep.
So
so that's kind of big because Magua and Joe's is a living legend, and you get a bonus points for killing more living legends than your
Yes.
opponent does, and
individuals.
Emiliano doesn't have one, and also individuals. So this puts them up there. So I think Britton, I went and found the article. I posted the link to it in the comments here, and I think your acronym was CIASIA, CIASIA, charging individuals at seemingly impossible angles.
Yeah. I think I like the sound of the word, and then when I tried to make it an acronym, it was horrible. But that's okay. We'll just call it I was originally calling it the Dirty Flyer Charge, but I decided that was giving it too much of a stigma that was unfair.
Yeah,
So-
it's filthy more than dirty,
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Clever.
Well, it's especially clever because you do not think to yourself that that's an individual that's susceptible to that because it's on the big base.
Yeah,
It's the clever girl.
I find
fire charge.
I used to run the Rev King on Worm a lot when I first started playing Undead, but I switched to the Vampire and Peg. It doesn't hit quite as hard. It's close, and it's not as durable, but it can fit into weird places that people often forget. Because it's quite, like 50 mil bases are a lot smaller now that Titans kind of exist in third.
Yep.
So it's really
remember the
handy.
good old days where dragons were that small?
Yeah.
The demon spawn on a 50 was quite nice.
Yeah. The one of the I think the theme so far in third edition is the efficacy of 50 mil square height 4 nimble characters that just they go wherever they want to. They get flanks all the time. They are just I think they're are kind of like the main one of the main themes of third edition so far.
Cannot be stopped.
I have a lot of fun with my current Varangur list that has 2 Lords on Frostfangs and 2 Cavern Dwellers, because like those 50 mil bases, it's just a huge concentration of force that can fit into weird places that your opponent can't cover all the angles.
Yeah, I played last night against Shannon Shoemaker, and he had something very similar. It's 2 Frostfang Lords, 2 Cavern Dwellers, and 2 Jabberwocks.
Yeah,
and then a bunch of stuff just to unlock it. And, yeah, it was terrifying. I mean, I had some really good turns of rolling, and was able to take out a bunch of stuff before it got too bad. But it's just like the Jabberwocks and the Cavern Dwellers are so cheap for what they do. It's easy with Varangur to really put 6 50 mil nimble monsters on the table.
Yeah, and the Cavern Dwellers are such dense anvils that it's really great.
Yeah.
I think you're half-assing it at a 6. I think you need to get a couple Lords on Frostfangs into that list.
That's what the Lords on Frostfangs, yeah.
Yeah, you get the Thanes.
You
get
could
2 Lords, 2 Thanes, 2 Jabberwocks, 2 Cavern Dwellers. So
and then just
I was looking at
all the Draugr to unlock them.
Yeah, 3 Jabberwocks, 3 Cavern Dwellers, and as many Lord on Frostfangs as you can fit in the rest Draugr.
Yeah.
And we laugh, but that could actually possibly work.
Yeah,
it does work. It's crazy. I know one of our local guys from Buffalo. He runs double or triple Jabberwocks, and it's with his Lords on Frostfangs instead of the Cavern Dwellers, and just all that nimble on the small bases. Really, it creates problems that you have to really think about, and you're going to miss an angle at some point.
Right.
Okay, so
or just forget that Jabberwocks are nimble, and then
So Emiliano has basically used this big rock in the middle left, and is trying to fight 2 different battles, literally, and just split along there. He's trying to. I don't know that he would have gone in with those Rev Cav if they hadn't been dunked on by some rocks.
Probably not.
But now he's close enough to the rocks that the rabble can't fit through that gap, so he kind of
and he's sort of doing the whole like use it or lose it. Like those Rev Cav were on borrowed time. Push them in, and
it's good because it lets him push his hammer units up within range to jump on all of those mincer mobs next turn, but none of them are close enough to do anything this turn.
Yeah, he outranges all the threats. Yeah,
and it lets him sort of push his zombies sort of further forward into charge range. It lets him push his vampire up. Do all of that tricky stuff. How is the vampire on range from the rabble?
But the rabble won't fit.
I got it.
Yeah.
That looks like about 6 inches.
He's only 6, but the rabble won't be able to fit between the rocks and another unit.
Okay. I just didn't know because the individual lines to him, if there's a tricky way, he can just tap him with a corner.
If he does like an almost 90-degree turn, like an 80-degree turn, he could potentially clip that.
And then force the vampire to turn to face him. He might be able to do it.
I don't think he quite has it. I just always look for that weird.
He might hit, with the angle to hit the vampire might hit the Rev Cav.
Right. Since the vampire, the plane of the vampire's base is behind the Rev Cav and the rocks.
Yeah,
it'll be tricky. But again, since he's an individual and you just have to touch a corner and he will turn to face you, you might be able to do something. But I don't know that that's where you want those guys to go. So I don't think they kill a vampire in one shot.
I think all of this naming it after Tom Robinson, that's cool because he did it on stream. But my understanding of the situation is that he learned it from Dan King doing it to him. So that the Dark Lord himself.
Right. That makes sense.
Because that's honestly that's a lot of the way you would learn this move in the past. Is someone
You
would
call it the Dark Lord's reach. You know, it's a little ominous. The touch of the Dark Lord. I don't know.
The rules committee member loophole.
Yeah. This helps my army the most. .com, you know.
But it's one of those where like, and it's sort of the great thing about UB and streaming and some articles being posted in the web. In the olden days, this is something you would learn because someone did it to you, and you'd never be quite,
or to a friend who's like scarred for life from it, kind of thing.
And you'd never be quite sure if it was real or legal.
Like your local game store and tried to explain to somebody who's not a regular player what you're doing. They're like, get the F out of here, man.
Yeah.
Right.
That was the first time I did a corkscrew charge against one of the, it was at the local game store, one of the not so serious players, and I was playing ogres, and I had adjusted my lines just so, and I did backed up, did the corkscrew charge. He's like, "What?" I'm like, "Yeah, it works. It's really dirty, and I'm sorry, but
But this isn't Warhammer, and you're not locked in combat, so
right."
Yeah, or just like explaining pick up in place to someone who was a Warhammer refugee. That is always was a bit of a drawn out conversation.
Yeah.
Okay, so it looks like Emiliano is trying to bail. Those are his wraiths, right?
Yeah.
Yep. So he's trying to. He's sort of determined that he doesn't actually need a real holding force over there anymore. Although the wraiths, if they position that way, can still, charge left if they can see something.
But that is 9 unit strength that he might just let cross the board, which is
that's
the tricky thing about a goblin army. He's got a lot of dudes, and if he just decides to fight war of attrition on the other side, and just take enough stuff out, he's got a chunk getting across on this side.
Yeah,
the goblin list only has a 3. The goblin list only has a 3 unit strength advantage, though, which is a pretty small gap against undead for a high.
Yeah, mincer mobs are expensive for unit strength, and especially in a goblin list, they're only unit strength 2, which makes a big difference.
Yeah, that's why they hit like a brick house, but I found my preference being Luggett regiments.
Yeah, you get
because
they're 3 unit strength.
50,
right?
Yeah, they're 3 unit strength, and with they end up being 40 points cheaper. And you're not getting the amount of, you're not getting all the survivability, but you're getting a similar amount of punch in a much smaller, more condensed.
Well, and you still add that fearless reliability to a goblin.
Yeah, they're dash 15.
Yeah, huge.
You can load them up with a mop up.
Yeah. Here comes a blizzard roll, I think, against a pincer mob. Yep. So the fun thing about that Wraith regiment, and the thing that it has over whites, is that it's still nimble. It still flies 7, but it's still nimble and is surgible. So even moving it over a little bit doesn't really take it out of that side. It can still easily get over there and threaten anything quickly. And get into a flank of something. And
he moved it to a spot to give a good angle to still see to that side. So he's kind of, they're shuffling, but they're keeping an eye. He's like, I might need to commit these right, but I'm watching you.
All right, combats. Just 2 damage to the Mincer Mob with Blizzard, and now onto the Rev Cav, into the front of a Mincer Mob. You don't expect them to do much of anything.
No.
And there you have it. The defense 6 to the front is going to be tough for them to crack. And they don't even take away their Thunderous. So.
Yeah. But that's really not the point. The point is just don't. If they die next turn, that's totally fine.
That's fine. Yeah, we're okay with that.
Now the fun part.
2 wounds, and then
the duelist.
Matter. It's on hitting on 4s. So
and on 4s, still 8 hits.
8, yeah.
Is that the Blade of Slashing?
Or Mesa Crushing, I guess.
That's probably Mesa Crushing. Yeah.
So 5 more.
He didn't roll either to hit or to wound reroll, so maybe he forgot. Which one is that? That's the slashing one. So he should have rolled a
8/8. Yeah, that's enough. Just
all right. So that's pretty big.
Kablooey.
wow. That opens up a lot of problems and opportunities.
Well, this is where like you look at these two armies sort of squared up. You look at the battle lines, and there's always this moment in the game where you're like, "Oh, how are they gonna start to crack?" And then, like, he throws these two units right into the midst.
And now does he just give the flank to the mob beast so that he can still get away, or does he turn and face and have to deal with them? Because now, because in the flank it's 12 attacks, and it's not. Then he still has a chance to move away from them easily.
Yeah, it's 12 attacks.
Yeah, but that hurts.
3s and 4s with vicious, and he can do something.
Yeah. No, you turn to face. You turn to face. You hope they flub, and you hope you can just fly over them and start killing catapults or hit something else in the flank next turn.
Well,
with
you set up in a way he's nimble, or he's not nimble anymore, right? Yeah,
he won't be damaged if he gets disordered in combat. He won't be nimble. So
yeah, never mind. So he loses.
That's why you could give up the flank, but then you're giving up potential like 5 or 6 wounds, which you can get 3 back with life leech. So
he's trying to do both here. He's trying to position so that he can do a withdraw move,
still get a
and get away from him if he can run. Like if those God, what are they? If the mincer mobs in the middle move forward at all, then he can do some kind of tricky like multi-inch withdraw, but he'll still probably be an arc. I think at this point they're a chaos agent, and
they're taking up brain space for Jesse now. Just if it does nothing.
No, I mean that the unit he's going to have to fight with that vampire. I know that vampire and Peg doesn't have a ton of attacks, but he's fighting a 9/11 unit.
And it's
he can win that fight and then go do some stuff.
It has life leech 3, so you can be relatively unscathed when he comes out of it.
Like it'll take him 2 turns if he's unlucky, but if he's lucky at all, he pops them in 1 and.
And if he really wants, he can spin that vampire back around. Maybe get line of sight.
Yeah, I mean, you got to go in. You got to go in with those mob beasts to try to ground it at least.
You got to ground it.
Because, it doesn't have a lot of attacks, but it's still 7.
Do some work.
Yeah, it's still 7 attacks on 3s. And from where he is, he'll hit the flank of anything on that left side of the table or, punch a catapult and get triple attacks and easily pick it up. So basically, your mob beasts are now committed to dealing with vampires in your backfield instead of chaffing or redirecting or flanking or whatever else you're planning on doing with them later in the game once the main combats get going.
Yeah, because my guess is they were.
Yeah, now
I'm not actually sure exactly what they were going to do, but not this.
I think they're the I'm the little 12
well, now
inch.
Next turn the rev cap.
Good. Nope. I think we just lost.
Yeah, they're just going to jump out in front of the mincers, but now the Rev Cav can get in there to chaff with unmolested and just block up another unit next turn on the right. And then
that's a kind of sneaky way to deploy your chaff that I've seen people do before that throws some people off, and that is you put your chaff unit behind your hammer instead of screening with it, knowing that it's fast enough to run in front of them and screen them just when you need to. And it keeps people from being able to shoot your chaff screen out of the way, or charge their bigger chaff into it up front. But it still does the job of screening them on the critical turn when you need them to get charged and not be threatened with a counter flank charge or something like that.
Mob beast packs are perfect,
especially with the nimble.
They're nimble and they're height 2, so they're if you have them behind, pretty much whatever you have them behind, they're not going to be able to shoot over them to try to get them.
Right. So which is why that Lich King with Blizzard is shooting at, an individual and mincer mobs and not just trying to pick off the chaff because he can't see them, he can't get to them.
Yeah, he was trying to position his mobbies so they couldn't get charged by that vampire that's in the middle, but I think they just checked to see that if the vampire pivots, he'll be able to see around that middle mincer mob to get the mob beasts.
I feel like I'd go after the mop-up launcher with that mounted vampire in between the Mincer mobs next.
Yeah, play the long game. Just remove the support pieces and then turn around.
So Jesse's scrambling.
Yeah. And I guarantee you after this game, Jesse would never leave a individual, not butted up against something again.
He doesn't look like an individual, though.
Yeah,
that's the thing. It's tricky. You forget yourself.
Mantic base size has tricked him.
Yeah, it's sneaky. But that's goblins for you.
Yep.
Yeah, that line of sight to that from the wraith to that Mincer mob in the middle. That's okay. No landing spot.
No charge for you.
Yeah.
And here we're seeing more of the intended use of the
mob beast.
Of the mob beast.
Mob beast, right?
They sort of jam forward into a gap, be annoying. RevCav should pop them on a charge, but then they get countered by not much, actually. Just the rabble.
Then you're looking at RevCav versus rabble, which will take a long time and isn't guaranteed to go one way or the other.
Right, those could very easily be there at the end of turn 7.
Yeah. Because that's where that life leech 1 kind of gets in the way.
Well, they're not going to go.
Yeah.
But
I think that's Sam talking about the vampire on Pegasus.
Yeah. He just has to back, even if he doesn't want to trade, he can just back up an inch and then he's got line of sight. Or even not. I don't even think he has to back up to get line of sight.
Yeah. So that's going to be Charlie's Cloak of Death going off over there hitting the vampires.
And he put the vampire peg in a position where the when he's charged by the front of the Mob East pack, they are right up against the back of the Mincer mob. And that severely restricts the Mincer mob's ability to reform post-combat with...
He can only go forward or slide a little bit to one side.
Which means he's moved up that rabble to sort of try and help prevent some shenanigans. But a double charge is still sort of available on the front of that far left.
Yeah,
Mincer mob, because it has no way to make a new battle line.
What's the range from the right whites into the... so he's got options, a lot of options right now.
Yeah. Yeah, he can get to either Mincer mob.
He can double charge any Mincer mob.
Yeah.
And can he double charge the blue?
Yeah. Once the RevCav die, the zombies in one of the raids.
Zombies in the
in the middle ones,
but not with he can't double white all of them.
He can double white the 2 on the right, but he can zombie trolls are essentially whites, so they can't double up on the brutal. So one white is enough.
Yeah. And the vampire on horse is mighty, and I'm pretty sure I have in the game sent a vamp on horse into the front of a rabble horde before and just held them and slowly ground them down for like 3 turns.
The rabble won't. But here we go.
The Mincer mob might not be able to double. He'll get stuck. There you go.
Yeah.
So now he's starting to try and make his battle line not able to be double charged.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This is the anyone watching that plays infantry armies, anyone watching that plays sort of multiple regiments, and is always getting sucker punched by Alpha Strike or by hard hitting large infantry. Watch some of the moves being made here. These are the types of ways you make your Kingdoms of Men, your goblins, your other stuff like that resilient to just being run over by better quality units.
you give them options, but they're all somewhat suboptimal options.
Right.
And most of them involve single charges.
That will open up potential flank charges for you.
Yep. So the green unit in the middle can't be double charged because of no, it it probably can't.
No, that looks like
they run into the skull.
That looks like less than 10 inches. So yeah,
it's got a little less than 3 inches on its left side here.
So you're looking at 7.5, which is not enough for 2 large infantry hordes.
Right.
And then you've got the blue unit, I think, can still get double charged. That's the sacrificial lamb, it looks like.
You can't move that green one up too much farther.
No.
Yeah.
That's a careful one. But what he's trying to do is protect so that the white one can't be charged at all. The skull. Yeah. And then that's your counterattacker. Regardless of what happens in the middle.
Way of it, right? You don't.
Yeah.
Yeah. He moved too far up. That's what he just noticed.
He's finessing. Yeah. we're seeing the mind at work. But this is sort of what you see, and this is I love watching these King's War games because it's sort of an old thing we say, but you see it and you're like, oh man, like Emiliano's in an amazing position. He's going to be able to double charge whatever he wants and just start taking hammers off the board. And then Jesse gets the move, and you're like, oh, he's protecting his line really well. Maybe it won't be so bad. And then it's that back and forth. Each person whose turn it is improves their position, hopefully. So.
And also with that mounted vampire right there next to the green one, I'm not sure that he could move forward a little bit, because wouldn't he have to, if he moves at all, end up more than an inch away from him?
He has to move farther away.
Farther.
If you're not engaged, you just have to end up farther away, I think.
Okay.
It's a weird kind of difference between if you're engaged with them or if you're not.
Right. Now he's opening up with his shooting on the zombie trolls.
Okay, and this is what I was worried about. The white puns have started in the chat. I'm going to say right now, anyone that talks about white power gets banned.
Yeah, we're drawing a hard line there.
Mantic already makes it really difficult to play in a crowded game store with goblins.
There's some very unfortunately named goblin characters.
I have to overpronounce big git.
It's a
goblin hero, mounted goblin hero.
This is my flag guy.
Yeah,
my army standard bearer for my goblins, not what it's.
I can't say that one too quickly. What did you just call me?
Yeah.
Okay, neither of these undead units are really in any danger from the amount of shooting that he was able to put on them.
Yeah, with
Dennis, dash 17 and dash 15. Yeah.
Well, Dennis making zombie trolls dash 18 is just
that too.
Yeah.
All right, so here's a maw beast on the vampire.
3 wounds.
It's really good.
And 9.
The 9. That's not gonna be enough. I believe he's 14, 16 or 15, 17.
14, yeah, 1 off a waiver.
14, 16. Yeah, bummer.
Yeah. So my vamp on peg gets wavered probably 2 turns of every game. So that 14, 16 really comes back to bite you.
Yeah, 14 is the spot that
it's a dangerous nerve to have.
Yep.
It's crazy how different 14 is from the 15, 17. Like anyone that plays trolls.
Or the dash 17. Yeah. All right, so the Mincer mob ate the Rev Cav troop like we expected them to.
Yum.
But like we were talking about, they don't have a lot of great reform options because they're kind of backstopped there, and they don't really want to go forward at all.
Yeah, forward gives you flanks. Possibly on that far right white unit.
Yeah.
The white light.
They're about 15 or 16 inches away, so if he moves up, he could get into range of the far one. Yeah.
And also, if he moves up, it's possible. Right now he's protected because you can't move that close to your opponent. but there's always the possibility also of that center white unit flying forward into a position to be surged into a flank of the blue mincer mob if he was to expose that a little more. I think it's tricky right now to do it.
Yeah.
Especially
with Surge 10, that's going to be tricky with only a 7-inch move.
Yeah, I don't think they fit, bro.
Geometry.
Yeah.
You check, because if he did leave just enough room, that's the charge to take. But
I feel like Surge 10 is just enough surge to encourage you to try something riskier than you should.
Yes, just enough to get you in trouble.
Yeah.
I like Surge 6 or 5 because I'm only doing 1-inch surges with that.
Right. You feel like you didn't pay for dice that you know you're never going to want.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So in the chat, Paige is suggesting a RevCav charge on the mob beasts and then just blow right through out of the arc of the horde.
Could do.
Yeah.
Or he could just charge the horde and be done with it, and then charge the mob beast with the wraiths.
Yeah, I like if he is doing that. I like that plan because
that's a problem.
This is the old tricky redeploy. Like, oh, we're gonna go to the right. Just kidding. Wraith attack. Surprise. Wraith attack.
Wraiths, with nimble flying wraiths in the flank / rear of your army.
They got Brew of Strength, bro.
With Brew of Strength,
These are buff ghosts.
12 attacks on 4 is not much, but like their defense
9/11 9/11 nerve. They're not defense 6 or these guys.
I'm talking about the wraiths.
Yeah.
Once they're back, they're like, well, they don't sound like they do a lot of damage, but like in the flank, they'll still do a lot of damage, and turning around to just pound on them. Like their defense 6 and their nerve is like dash 15, 16. Yeah, like they're just annoying flying anvils that will punish you if you leave them a flank charge or a surgical flank charge.
And here's a great one. Like if they pop them in one turn, you got great options. If they don't, you still have good options. Yeah. And there's a very real possibility they don't take a wound back.
Yeah. And then just
if
fly
they
over.
Just a good old sort of fly over and do what you want. So those look
that's where turning that mincer mob was, is an aggressive redeploy, but it opened up quite a potential problem.
Yeah. Sidestepping wraiths are a trick. They're not abandoning a flank.
Yeah.
Well, it was a smart move. Like he took the half position where I can go either way. I can do what I need. And now they're in a position to cause some real trouble on a flank that previously looked given up on.
It's the Kings of War killer crossover.
Yeah. And again, that's sort of the power of like having those nimble wraiths versus the non-nimble whites. Like the whites, if you try to do that, you turn and fly and be looking the wrong way. The wraiths are able to turn, go their full 7, and then turn back again instead of just doing a 3.5-inch sidestep.
Yeah, a lot of people like putting like those nimble units on the flanks, but putting them in the middle is a kind of like a safety or whatever you want to call it, gives you those options to kind of like they can redeploy a lot easier than any other unit. So you don't always have to put the nimble units on the flank.
Emiliano giving some serious thought to what he wants to do in the middle here.
Because this is it. This is it.
This is the money turn. This is turn 3. This is when you go in.
He wanted a decisive turn where he could do a couple double charges or a double charge and and block off a chunk.
And he gets one. He gets one double charge.
And it's the one he wants.
And it's against the blue unit.
Yeah.
And he can't really get his RevCav chaff in to protect his hammers like he wanted to because the rabble pushed up so far.
Yeah.
And the zombies in the back are out of range to plug the green unit.
Yeah, so if he doubles that left unit, it will be unlikely to position the white unit to not get double charged unless he charges the other whites into like a single charge into the right mincers. Yeah.
Yeah, you would kind of have to basically like turn these zombies, walk them forward 5, and then have the Lich King surge them for all he's worth, and see if you can get him up in the face of the green and the white unit. Yeah, and hope that you roll at least 5 successes to get him in decent blocking position.
But then what's the range on our friends, the skull unit? Like, what could they charge?
They're 10. Charge 10.
10? Yeah, so they're that red line. So right now, the whites partially in the forest are in charge range if they have a path, if they do nothing else. So there's, it's a good. I mean, I think that he's on the defensive, but I think that was a pretty good defensive move on this side from Jesse.
Yeah, I think so.
I think the left, we'll see, but that one seems a little rougher.
Yeah.
And I think you are not in a position necessarily like to delay further.
No.
If you are Emiliano, do you back it up because they're only charged 10? You outrange all of his units.
Yeah.
Do you just back it up?
And then you give your vampires and depending on how the wraiths do on the left, like that gives your nimble flyers some more time to cause havoc and create more headaches.
But you're only creating a smaller frontage to fight over. Because this will just shrink as the rabble sort of comes in from the sides. And
it is invade, so.
Yeah, so you don't necessarily want to be fighting on your half of the board. It's tough. That, for me, it always do I back up a few inches and try again, or do I just send them in now? I think that is a fundamental differential between different player types. I think most people can be split along the sort of F it, risk it, and I'm gonna try for something a little better, and I am on the F it, risk it side for sure. So for me,
against most goblin armies playing undead, playing invade, you want to run across the table and punch them on their side of the table as fast as possible, and know that in the grind, enough of your unit strength will be left alive on their side of the table, and they will have gone nowhere, and you'll win. But this is a goblin army that'll punch back.
And this is an undead army without vampire units. It's a lot of 18 attack large infantry hordes and not the high volume soul reaver infantry, which is what you want against rabble.
I like that you're like 18 hitting on 3 quality attacks isn't good enough. Isn't good enough for Alex over here, who's used to vampire attacks.
Soul reavers.
Hey, that's why I take 25 attacks on 3s with Crush 2.
25 or bust in a regiment footprint. Right. Anything less is chumps.
So here comes the corkscrew charge. Here comes the corkscrew charge from the vamp on peg into the rear. I'm guessing.
So he might be trusting that. He might be trusting, and then you single everywhere else.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, because
that's not bad.
That's 2 hordes essentially, right? So 21 in the rear.
Yeah, and that vampire will hold that rabble up for the rest of the game if it wants to.
And they're a big shield, so that is defense 4 in the rear. So
that'll be wounding on 2s. Yep.
Yeah,
good
that's
point.
huge.
This like purple mincer mob over towards the left, given where the terrain is placed and how that rabble horde is kind of sandwiched in there, I'm not sure that they're going to be able to get around that rabble horde to do anything useful next turn. So that vampire might be taking that mincer mob out of the game for a couple turns just by getting up in the face of the rabble.
Yeah, based on leader point. Oh, it looks like the rabble might slide to the up table because if they do a double charge, because the leader point of the mincer mob is to the left, the vampire's left.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to check.
So the rabble would probably slide up. I was thinking if they're going to slide down or not, but I think.
All right, and it looks like he's put the vampire on horse here in the middle into the into the green mincer mobs.
Mm-hmm.
So he might just be trying to single charge everything with some character support.
Yep. Yeah, that middle one's a bit of a toss-up, and the one on the right is already wounded with 2 wounds. So.
Yeah, if he rolls hot.
I think he's hindered, but he has he bought the items. This is an important thing I noticed in the introduction. Emiliano said he looked at the maps
yes.
and then bought Pathfinder and Strider.
Yes.
So he's the first person I've seen that was like, no, I looked. saw crazy maps and
Yeah.
bought that sort of thing out of the people we've talked to. So this is someone who did at least the bare minimum of preparation for this tournament.
Sent my whites on a strict training regimen of trail running.
Yeah.
Um,
So they've done the ninja fitness courses. They've done all of their extra
Remo
training
Williams
there.
Training. Yeah.
Remo Williams.
just running through the woods to some 80s power ballads.
Yeah.
Training
Mo
montage.
Drew, all the good stuff. Or mediocre stuff.
Whoa.
Remo Williams will always have a soft spot in my heart.
It's a great movie, and it occurred to me a couple of weeks ago. I thought about that movie, and I realized that in this day and age, and I hate to even get on this topic, so I'm going to touch it briefly, and then we can ride right past it and keep going. Now, the most unrealistic part of that movie to me seems to be the scene where Wilford Brimley says, "What we can't do is embarrass the president. So before anyone learns of our existence, we'd better commit suicide." And I was like, "Oh man, whew, what a different time to live in." Anyway,
That's neither here nor there.
That's neither here nor there. So he's opted for single charges with his whites, one with the assistance of a vampire on horse, and his zombie trolls with Vamp on Peg to back him up. And then he's just chapped up those rabble with a flank charge from zombies and some Rev Cav in the front. So he's just gone all in. Like he just committed everything except that.
They're not like Page Neo high percentage charges, but they have the.
But they're not bad.
They're not terrible. They're like 50-50s ish.
It's turn 3. You charged everything, and most of them look like charges that won't necessarily be severely punished. Mm-hmm. That's a pretty good spot when you're fighting.
Yeah,
I don't think he's in a bad spot.
This is a pretty
club. Yeah,
and
it's a pretty alpha strikey undead list. So like turn 3 is the turn that you want to go in with everything anyway.
And what you find is when you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 7 or so combats, you've got that chance. You've got that chance
if 3 of these go really well, it's like that's that's what he wants.
Because the Rev Cav versus the Rabble with the zombie support from the flank is pretty good. Probably won't get him in a round, but we'll set him up for success later.
Start getting wounds on those goblins, and that's
trying for a sneaky blizzard on the Goblin Wizard on the hill.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's only 1, right?
Yeah.
And an 8. That's not going to get him. Goblin character's got to be at least 9/11, right?
I believe so.
I hope.
You'd be surprised.
Yeah, no, Wiz is still 9/11.
I swear I played an army that had an 8/10.
Such things exist. Yeah. Such things exist.
But yeah, I mean, it's the Rev on the far left are just Operation Holding Pattern, and they will hold for a very long time. And then you have the whites who could win and blow through in a round and be in a great position. Or if not, grind it out. Or not the whites, I mean the Wraiths.
Wraiths, yeah. That Wraith regiment, if that goes well for Emiliano, that opens up a lot of options.
And then the zombie trolls are going to get some of their damage back.
The vamp is going to be on 1 wound after this, so that's
the vamp on Peg, like Leech 3.
Yeah, he's a problem.
So he forgot about his piercing arrow on his blizzard, and that means that he did actually waver that Goblin Wizard on the hill, which is cool. And now we're rolling the Wraiths on the
3, 6, 9 wavered.
It's a waiver. Okay.
So that means they'll be able to fly next turn.
They'll be able to fly next turn.
He has the choice of finishing them off probably, or doing whatever else he wants with a withdraw move and a fly where he feels like it. So that's a pretty good result for them. I mean, obviously you'd take the break, but
12 attacks on 4s. You can't really rely on too much there.
All right, Vamp does 5 wounds to the rabble. They're of course fine.
Yeah, but 5 wounds still is like...
Yeah, that's
a lot.
The beginning of a good grind for the vampire.
Yeah, really.
Because 25 on 5s, you're going to get like maybe a wound or 2 back.
Yeah, 5s and 5s. Yeah, they don't have any items on them, so you're not going to do much. All right, looks like we're doing the whites into the front of the green.
6.
One's here, 6, not bad. Against defense 6 because they have big shield.
And now the vamp in the flank.
5 hits.
Or 5 hits, yeah.
That's going to be 6 because that's his, crushing. And 3 ones.
3 more. So 9. That's danger zone with brutal.
9 with brutal. So pretend like it's 10. And those things are dash 16, and that's an 11. So that's going to be a re-roll, I'm guessing. No, there's no inspiring. Just Charlie.
Oh.
And Magua and Joe's is gone. I guess that was his inspiring in the middle.
Yep.
That's it. Okay.
That was the extra spicy thing about flying in and punching Magua and Joe's in the face, was it removed inspiring from the middle of his army.
Yeah.
Oof.
That's big.
All right. Yeah, that is pretty big. So there's the hole. Yeah.
That's one of the 50-50s going his way, and but it probably was less than 50-50 with that inspiring, actually.
Now that we know there's not inspiring here, this is looking bad for Jesse.
Yeah. So now over to, looks like he's going to do the zombie trolls and the vamp on peg on the blue winged mincers.
Paige asking the really important questions in the chat. How do the whites wear boots? But, oh well.
On their hands?
Yeah. They're just under the ropes. You can't see
they're just under the ropes.
Okay. Vampires trying to do vampire-y things.
Shifting.
Trying to get out of the water so when he charges next turn, he's not hindered.
Yeah.
And not making it.
Right. Okay. This is the peg, right?
This is the peg, yeah.
15 hits and 14 wounds. Oh, yeah.
That's a lot. Zombie trolls don't really need to be there.
You didn't need the trolls.
Yeah. Charge the trolls into the rabble. And oh god. They only did 3 more, so
5, yeah.
5 more, yeah.
Doesn't really matter.
No. Yeah, this is looking
Oof. Man, that's rough.
Yeah.
Early MVP on this peg.
Yeah.
Yeah, really.
Between that peg and that suicide vampire that ran in, the two of them are absolutely doing work. That, I mean, I hate to sort of pin back to a mistake in turn 1 or deployment, but Magua and Jews just being chargeable by these units as an individual. It was hard to see, but it is paying out dividends each round. So
yeah, the vampire just like jumped up and dunked him under the pond.
Yeah. So I guess at this point I would turn that vamp on peg to face that mob beast pack again. Because then if they whiff, then you can charge. You can still charge the flank of that rabble, or
then puts the other mob beast in the rear. But then you're going to want to do other things with that mob beast troop, right on the right.
Yeah.
You need to block off those ones.
Well, at this point, I mean, maybe this is what means I'm not on this table at this point in the tournament, but you'll have to see how some of these other combats go. But at this point, it might just be FU in particular. We're taking that vampire.
This is personal now.
I don't have anything better left to do in this game than make sure that vampire and peg just dies.
We'll see how the right whites do, and then if that goes Emiliano's way, then I don't know that it really matters what those mobs
Steve's
do.
back, and there's 2 less mincer mobs.
Yeah. And they're taking a second. Jesse might be taking a moment to compose himself or something. I don't know.
Kind
of paused.
Repair holes in the drywall.
Right. No, he's Canadian. I'm sure he wouldn't react that way.
No, he may utter a couple of 4-letter words, but that's
Yes.
the extent of it. Then he'd apologize.
Okay, so he's just doing some tricky movement. He set the zombie trolls up so that they could. Yeah. So what's his fight now? What's he doing now? Is this
He's doing the whites with the boots on the skull.
So 7 plus. Oh, they're fine.
Okay.
So he gets
So
2
this
out of
is-
3.
If you really want it, yeah, 2 out of 3 is.
Yeah,
not
but
bad.
this one, I mean, this one is just sitting there saying, "Great, I can counter attack."
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not.
Right. Rev Cav on Rabble.
What's the height on the Mincer mob compared to the whites? They're the same height.
Whites
3. I think they're the same
3 to
height.
3.
Same height.
Okay, darn.
Vampires in the flank. Getting 11 hits. Look at them go. Sorry, zombies. Sorry, zombies in the flank. Yeah, zombies in the flank. They hit so many times, my brain refused to call them zombies for a second there. Because 11 out of 24 on 5s is pretty good.
Yeah.
That is yeah, I mean, it doesn't help that Emiliano's rolling.
Above average.
Rolling.
Yeah.
Well, solid or up. I haven't seen
Yeah.
him roll down. So what are Jesse's options besides curl up and cry? Which is always an option. It's just not super effective.
Yeah, that gives you. I think killing the zombies is actually possible here as opposed to
Yep.
the Rev Cav.
Yeah, you can crack the zombies.
You can send that sting it into the side of them or rear of them to help. Make sure it gets them because he can't see anything else.
Screw into the other whites. No, they're not. They're behind the plane of the.
But he might be able to chaff the whites with the mob beasts. Mob beast pack behind them.
Yeah, because then he just needs to do a wound
Right.
to prevent them from popping over.
If he clears out, so they're the same height. Never mind, the height's blocked. I was looking for tricky mincer mob charges against the Revenant cavalry, where he could withdraw and go fight them and be out of arc. And
they're not nimble, so I don't think he can get around it.
Well, and they're the same height, so even with the withdrawal, I don't think he has line of
even if
sight
he
on them.
backs up an inch. No.
So he doesn't have line of sight from his rabble into the whites either. So I don't think there's a double charge available there. Yeah, get that sting it. I don't actually know what that sting it should do right now.
He's got 4 attacks, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, not a great crush 1, so not huge, but could be a wound or 2.
It adds 2 wounds.
Yeah.
It's something.
And then
1
if
to
you
2.
can get Charlie over there and like a Bane chant on the mincers, that's there's a good chance.
The problem is you do all that and you pop a horde of whites, and then
You get
the
another
next
one.
thing that hits you drops you. So you have to do something to prevent that unit from being hit by anything substantial. And
he can't Bane chant them though. His only Bane chanting guy on that side is Waver.
It's wavered. Yeah.
are the mob beast packs able to charge the unengaged whites?
Should be.
Yeah, it looks like.
Should be able to draw a line of sight.
Because someone has to block them up. You got to assume you're going to win that fight with the whites in front of you.
Yeah.
Do everything you can to win that, and then do everything you can to protect them, because them and the purple mincers are your only combat units left.
Which whites are the skull ones? Are they the haste ones, or they're not the sharpness ones, right? Oh, they are. Okay,
That's the sharpness one.
They do have a chance to do this.
Yep.
3s and
can.
4s.
And who's the Lich King? Okay, the Lich King is an inspiring range, so the whites are inspired. Oh, and he's sending the. Well, yeah, he might be going with the screw that Vamp Lord in particular plan of rear charging.
Is Dennis
instead
in the range of the whites? Of both whites?
Sorry, who's Dennis? He
Yes.
is.
So they're
So
dash
they're
18. Yeah.
they're dash 18. Yep.
Fucking Dennis. It's such a prick.
Yep. He really is.
This, I will say, the good news is this tournament made me go back, and after hearing Keith's list of top episodes, go back, and at first I'm like, I'm going to watch his top episodes, and then I watched 2 of them, and then I just let it run from one of them.
Yep.
I was just like, why am I picking out individual episodes? Let's just let this bad boy run.
Just roll it back to episode 1. The gang gets racist and just let it go.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I've told this story on here, but if I originally watched this show on like DVDs from Netflix, like sent to me, and they had the original pilot for the show, and the original pilot takes place in LA. It's not in Philadelphia, and they're all sort of like out of work actors, not owning a bar. And all of the jokes are the same. It's the gang gets racist or whatever. It's one of the first episodes, and all the jokes are sort of the same, and it doesn't work at all. It feels super douchey and annoying and kind of done. So whatever creative decision was made to like move it to Philadelphia and make them scumbags, like makes the show amazing. Like whoever saw that pilot, like whoever saw that pilot, and either from their own team or someone at a network who was like, you know what, we've seen this show before, but what if you're all horrible and in a place no one
you're the most unlikable group of people ever.
They're just shout over each other, but like pretty much the entire cast is from Philadelphia. I mean, Rob McKenley is, I mean, Charlie Day is. I don't know about Glenn Howerton, but they're that's pretty much what they do, where they come from.
Yeah. But the pilot was in a backyard party in LA. It's crazy.
I did not know that.
It's interesting.
So, or at least
it's
whatever
funny how
original
just like the change of setting with the same jokes can make them land completely differently.
So much better.
Yeah. Like there was a show that I watched one time, and I forget the name of it, but it was about a set of TV producers who were transplanting a British show to the States, and like basically doing the same thing they did with The Office, like take the British show, remake it in the States. And they tried just doing like the scripts exactly the same as they did in England as in the States. And they would have the actor come in, and it's the original actor, and he would read it in a British accent, and it's hilarious. And then they would tell him to do it and sound like he's from Alabama, and he says it again, and it's like, no, dude, you just sound like a creep now. This is not going to work. Like this show does not work with an American accent. You sound awful.
That's kind of like the In-Betweeners. I mean, that show, it's a very short-lived show, but it's British, and in British it's hilarious. But they tried it with in America, and it fell flat.
Yeah.
Okay.
Episodes. Yeah, that was the name of the show. Thanks, Sam. Yeah. The rest of the show was good. The actual show was good. The framed show that they were making in the show was not.
Okay.
That's
so what do we?
It's something like so go ahead.
The race are getting backed off from.
Yeah, getting a free pass, but they won't be able to charge the mincers at least, and they don't think they'll have movement to get behind. Maybe the rabble, and if they do, the mincers will still have line of sight to them.
Yep.
Yeah,
but this is one where it's like, I mean, I feel like this is one where you're, like he needs to be on the other side of the board by the end.
Yeah.
And these race are doing a job, just like if I can just back all y'all up and eventually jump you.
They're just movable terrain at this point, like here.
Basically, yeah.
Like, you don't want to get charged by the Minzer Mob. Minzer Mob is his best chance at cracking that Wraith unit. Nothing else on that side will do it. But, oof. This is where I remember the old Wraith movement, and I'm like, oh, they have great options. And then I remember the new Wraith movement, and I'm like, oh, never mind.
Yeah. Yeah, movement 7 it's kind of fast, but it's kind of not at all.
I think it's great. I think it's a great game design decision put on them because it makes them have tough choices, especially shambling. So you can't double 14
too much.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, you hate to see that. You see somebody go through the trouble of bane chanting a unit and then they only hit twice. But he did pop the vamp on Peg with the two mob beasts.
R.I.P. in peace.
Yep.
R.I.P.
R.I.P.
Yeah, he did his job.
R.I.P. the MVP. Yep.
No, there's still time for that second vampire to do something amazing extra and steal it from him.
The bar is high.
Yep.
Yeah. The one that's with the rabble is gonna get 7 wounds and then roll an 11 twice and then
pick them up.
No. I mean the one that charged in with him.
Yeah, you mean the one in the pond?
Like, they secured hero status by.
Yeah, I think. Well, the mounted one, the non-vamp was, I think, could have been enough to take out Magua because he's with the duelist. But
Duelist,
I think,
So
I think it was he didn't get the rear charge, but he did help with the middle one. I think both those guys are.
They're in the running. So now the question is, one of them's out. One of them's clocked his day of work in, and the other one is still at it. So
yeah, he's got some more.
Rabble hordes coming up kind of light.
Did it just do 1 damage to the Rev Cav?
It did.
Yeah,
it did. So, but the one in the middle put 6 on the vamp.
6 on the vamp with 5.
He's still okay.
Can't take advantage of that low waiver value.
Yeah, he's coming back in too. And they're life leech too.
14.
Yeah, they're life leech too.
Needed more hits than that, but 9.
9.
Yeah, 9.
They already had 1 on them from Cloak of Death. Yeah.
Sting It's going to push it over.
Yeah, 2 hits from the Sting It. Just 1 wound. It's an 11, so 6 twice.
Doable.
Unless Dennis is there, 7 twice.
11 twice. 8, 9, 8. Or that's the first 8.
That's an 8.
Oh, got him.
That should do it. All right, giving him a little bit of breathing room.
But he didn't do anything to stop the other mobbies from punching him.
He traded getting the peg for protecting them, which I don't know if that was the right trade. It's hard to say at this point.
I don't think so. Those Mincers are now dead. Like, you've lost them.
Yeah, because he would have needed to take the Rev Cav. I don't even think he would have been able to get the Rev Cav because they don't get a withdraw move this turn because they aren't technically engaged.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess they could pivot clear of the rabble.
Those whites get a clear shot in, and then that vampire can go do something, whatever it sort of wants. And he's creating a lane for those zombies.
The vamp could go take the. Yeah, the vamp can take the lobber at the top, the mob launcher, or just chaff up that rabble horde, just prevent it from getting anywhere close to the board edge.
Or it can start punching. What's it called? Because that vamp couldn't drop a mob beast pack.
Yeah.
So it starts killing those.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
The trolls go into 1. Trolls go into the rabble. It's
Or you just send both vamps into each mobbies pack and the zombie trolls into the rabble.
Well, if the vamp there can see that that flying sting it, he could just charge through the water, be a duelist, and go punch him and kill him, and then charge the whites in behind him. And then he wouldn't have to worry about the sting it, and he'd be up 1 more individual for the bonus points.
Yeah, but
a duelist on that.
You still got to get points across the board. You need points across the board, and
you do, but he's got the points across the board at this point. Like, Like the fact that he turned this Mincer Mob over here on the left back to deal with the wraiths means that like these zombies, the zombie trolls, and the whites are all going to be on his side of the table and scoring, and that's 8 points.
I just don't like ignoring real units in that backfield. You have two. I know there are only 6 attacks, but in a flank or something else.
Oh sure. Well, I mean, you
Or double
can
charge.
easily just send the zombie trolls forward into one to get rid of it.
I was just
And then-
looking at both vampires go into both of those. Zombie trolls go into the rabble. And like, who cares about a sting it?
And then all he really has at the end of this turn would be a Mincer Mob on the wrong side of the board, a Mobbies pack, and maybe a Rabble Horde.
No, that Mincer Mob's dead. Oh yeah, you mean that one? Yeah. The purple Mincers
one.
are still alive.
Yeah.
You have rabble in a corner and a bunch of other stuff that's not there, and you have a clear channel straight down the middle for any units that want to go score.
Yep. And kind of the nice thing about playing a scenario like Invade against somebody with a lot of war machines is like once you get where you want to be to score, you're too close for the war machines to shoot at you anyway.
Yeah.
You don't really have to worry about them picking stuff off late game if you haven't gotten rid of them yet.
Yeah, that's why cannons are so good.
Yeah, that's
Right,
why sending the zombie trolls into the Mobbies pack almost makes sense, just because then it's like, well, you're under the guns and you're over the board.
Yeah.
And just keep letting the vamp chip away at the rabble.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of options. I'll say this: he's in a great position right now.
Yeah, he's opened up.
So what do we see putting on our goblin hats? What should Jesse be doing? What's his Hail Mary, his thin line to victory? Is it closed, or is there some confluence of ridiculous dice rolls that can pull it out for him? Are the whites in the middle Pathfinder or Strider boots?
I think they're the Pathfinder one.
How far
Yeah.
are the zombie trolls
Okay.
from the lobbers?
They could get the closer one this turn because they go 12, 6, 12. I don't know that they would fit through that gap, but
Yeah, it'd be tricky.
yeah.
But,
But
it's like,
at least
if they move up, then
at least at least one is too close now to shoot them, and if they move up at all, both
Yeah,
of
I'm
them
just
will-
trying to think what the goblin options are to remove units, and like the zombie trolls are obviously the most vulnerable, but
Yeah.
he has very few things that could do anything to them.
Yeah.
I was just thinking if both lobbers were in range, and he wasn't like too close, then
Now they're safe.
or big rocks throwers. Sorry, not lobbers.
Yeah, get this Warhammer stuff out of here.
But you're not entirely wrong.
25 years of conditioning is hard to remove.
I would be tempted to throw these zombies into the flying sting it just so they'd get to move more than 5.
Mm-hmm. And just to ground it too. And it's not 9/11s with one wound on it. If you put a wound or two, there's a chance you waiver it again.
Yeah.
And then
I like that.
always going.
Oh,
for
is
the
he
surge
being
flank.
extra? He's being
He is.
extra.
He
Okay.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
they're
just-
Pathfinder too, so they doesn't.
It's kind of unnecessary, but
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
just
right.
flex.
Right.
He's flexing
Yeah,
on him now.
That's a hard.
Yeah. 7 wounds. You just have to. You don't even have to do. You have to do average or a little bit less, and you're still at
still on snakes.
a 3 or 4. Yeah,
But I guess by putting him in
that's
the
just
flank,
like I haven't.
he doesn't have to worry about big shield.
Let's have a
Doesn't have to worry about the 4s being swinging or
And-
anything.
And it gets you further across the board.
Yeah,
Make sure you're
that's true.
fully across.
That's true.
Yeah, I mean, there's if you can get a flank, you take a flank. Like I get it, but that is definitely some like.
This is when you roll one
I'm not-
success on 10 dice, though, right?
Yeah.
Sure.
I'm not
Sure.
gonna take the easy charge. I'm gonna flex on this. That
Yeah, I
is
mean,
an
but-
interesting
but-
question, though.
That's swinging away on a 3-0 count when you're up by 9.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
but
But there
happened
is
to
a
be in
question.
Pelled Arms in one of my games where I had like Surge 11 and I just needed a 2-inch surge to get like that push all the way to 25 points. And it was like
Anyone-
failed both.
Anyone know the odds on failing a Surge 10 that needs what? That's 2 successes. It looks like, or is it 1?
Is it
50-50.
2 or 3?
Any surge greater than 1 inch is always 50-50.
What is it? Is it 2 inches there, Mike, or is it 3?
Yeah,
Is it over 2?
No, it's 2.
Okay.
It's just 2.
It's within 2. So 2 successes out of 10. The question is the odds of failing 2 successes out of 10 greater or worse than the odds of fluffing your straight ahead attack rolls?
Fours can be super swingy to wound.
Yeah, 3s and 4s.
Yeah, because it'll be
Or
3s.
and
It'll be
2s.
2s. It'll be 2s in the flank. So that's like you're doing like 16 wounds, 14 wounds.
I think the surge is the right call.
Yeah.
But it's definitely styling. He's
that's definitely some razzle dazzle there.
90th minute no look pass here for Saga terms. Like, yeah, it might be effective, but oof.
It's like I haven't been able to surge all game. I'm going to do it now because I won't have an opportunity later.
Because there's nothing to blizzard.
Yeah. Also true. Everything's in
afterward. Like, I really just wanted to blizzard every round, but he gave me no good options, so I had to.
Right. Everything is in combat or line of sight is blocked. So screw it.
So now, what to do with the race? He tried to fit a charge on the Mincer mob, and they don't quite fit. Jesse,
I think he just flanked the rabble horde.
Yeah. 24 on 4s and 3s.
4s and 2s. They got burst strength.
Oh, burst strength, 4s and 2s.
Yeah.
So you're looking at 10 wounds potentially, plus whatever the Rev Cav can put in, like another couple. But
so did the Rev Cav not charge them last round?
They didn't do any wounds.
Seriously?
Yeah, he totally flubbed.
What a bunch of chumps.
Yeah,
we don't need to nerf these guys. They can't even hurt rabble.
Exactly. They're totally balanced. RC, please buff.
Yeah.
But I think if you charge the mobbies, like you're pretty much guaranteed to kill them, and you're not giving up a flank to the Mincer mob or a rear. Actually, if you flank the rabble, you're not going to break them probably, and then you're going to have a rear charge.
He could.
If the mobbies can get out of the way,
Since he can see the rear of this rabble horde, he ought to be able to fly to the back side of it and like land in the forest and be in their rear, shouldn't he?
He doesn't. He can fit on the close side though.
Or can he fit on the close side? Okay. So he would have to land there instead of teleporting behind the Mincer mob. Bummer.
Yeah, if that plane extends, I think it looks like it clears the rocks, like the rear of the rabble. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it does. So he could fit in there. But again, if your goal is for the wraiths to not get hit by these mincers next turn, then that's not what you want to do.
Was it 4s and 4s?
He's just leaving the wraiths then? Moving on to casting? So 7 successes on Surge. Yeah, that does seem weird.
Maybe with the rabble there,
because they can't fit.
Yeah.
So he only takes a charge from the rabble, and he just keeps blocking everything up.
Yeah, the mobbies can go back in, but then they.
But
it's the delay. So there were 2 sort of options: delay and just keep jamming stuff up, or try and start opening things up by removing units. And he picked delay.
Yeah, if he killed the mobbies, then it gives the mincers a charge. If he doesn't do anything, they don't have a charge.
Right.
Yeah.
But I did sort of like a charge on the rear of the 5 damaged rabble to unlock another vampire. Remove them, and sure, you take a charge from the front, but then mincers are getting
6 wounds.
6 wounds. It's got up to 11. Just need double 6s.
The question is, do the rabble roll up and take them off this
wavered.
turn? What?
Oh no, they're 1921. Yeah,
21.
Is that?
And there's no inspiring on that
flag
side?
guy behind the mincers. Was he not within 6?
What? 3-6. Super
Looks like he
close.
would've
Maybe
been.
not. Maybe not.
I think he would.
That's a little more than
Oh.
3 inches from the front of the vampire.
That's
Yeah,
and
because that's 80 mils is more than 3 inches, so he at least should have
That's
been in
too
range of
bad.
inspiring.
He must have missed it, or
Yeah.
he must have looked at it. It's really close. And that vampire gets to life leech 2, so he's down to 2, unless Emiliano forgets. Sometimes when things are going really well.
No, he was 6. He already liked
Yeah,
it.
Oh, was he 6? Okay.
Yeah, I guess maybe if things are, and conversely, if things are going poorly, you just kind of forget that your advantage is like inspiring.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right.
Yeah,
Rev
that
Cap
looked like
troop in
a-
the rear.
That looked like a miss on the inspiring.
Yeah.
Because if it's
Yeah.
3 inches, 3 inches is 76 something
Yeah.
millimeters, and they're 80
Yeah,
deep.
the
So
depth of them. Yeah, should have been.
Yeah, losing unit strength fast here, though. That's a second rabble horde gone. Yeah, that's unfortunate with that rabble horde there in the middle. I guess the vampire moving forward still keeps that mincer mob in place and not doing anything useful next turn.
yeah, and that
Mhm.
the vampire just absolutely blasting forward is a great roll, because now he's just sort of sitting there being
Yeah.
annoying and pain, giving them way less options and
Prevent
just being a big bag of
Yeah.
dicks like vampires
getting
are.
in the way and out of
Yeah.
charge arc.
So we're on turn 4, and is Jesse still looking at kitten mittens at this point? He's killed the white horde and the Rev Cap troop.
Yeah, close to it. Because it's 105 for a red Rev Cap troop and
250 or something like that for whites.
plus, was it the Strider Boots one?
Oh, he killed the vamp on peg too. That's like 250 points.
Well, yeah, he's over Kitten Mittens.
Yeah, never mind.
What's the kitten mittens? Is that just a low score? Or?
Less
Yeah,
than
it's-
500 points.
You get 1 bonus point, and there's an extra special sweet spot where if you kill at least like 345 or 375, but less than 500, you get both the +1 attrition bonus and kitten mittens, so you actually get a +2 for killing just the perfect small amount.
Gotcha. Yep. Shocker. Flanked. A damaged big shield unit flanked by whites went away.
Whites. Yeah.
And I think we must have missed the zombies killing the flying sting it. Good for them.
Yeah.
Good job, zombies. Good on you.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. Every one of these rolls where you're like, they could pick that up has become,
just do.
they picked that up.
Yeah.
Pick that up.
Well, it's like the joke about the vampire taking the rabble. I'm like, oh, I didn't actually think that would happen. Like,
Yeah, he didn't.
meh.
We
I
were
figured
like,
he'd take
hey,
another turn.
maybe those wraiths could rear charge it. And Emiliano's like, doesn't need them.
It's like, I got it.
I gotta do it
in
on
the
a horse.
front is more than enough.
The wraiths start like ghosting their way over, and the vampire's like, shoot, I got this.
Yeah.
I don't
He's
need.
like,
I don't need.
Who's the
to create-
MVP vampire? Who's the MVP vampire again?
It's hard to choose.
Yeah, now they're all competing with each other.
Yeah.
All right, so the zombie trolls with sharpness easily pick up the mob beast pack and turns to look at the flank of the
I would
mincers.
angle them a little bit more so they won't be hindered next turn, but that's like I don't think that really will matter
Yeah,
if they want to charge the mincers.
yeah.
There you go.
There you go. Yeah, doing it the other way, you'd have the option of going up there to punch one of the catapults, but I think at this point he's not really worried about what the catapults are going to do. Like,
There aren't many targets for the catapults, so it's like, and if he really wants to get them, he has 2 vampires after the small beast pack.
right. So this is an absolutely brutal turn Jesse's looking at here.
Yeah.
Could got
And he still hasn't-
3, 4, turn 3 and turn 4.
Has he
was like
done the
most of his
vampire?
army.
Has he done this vampire yet? He
Yeah,
didn't do
that-
the vampire on the small beast, did he?
He did. They did 2 damage.
Oh, it did
Oh,
2
they-
wounds.
They only did 2. Okay.
yeah. So that one is.
So one vampire can take out a rabble horde. The other vampire can't even take out mobbies. Like, who's the slacker now?
Right.
He's slowing down. He's tired.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that vampire on horse is mighty, so
Oh, he can just get
oh,
it in.
okay. Maybe he can.
I guess with the Rabble Horde gone, there's more room.
No, that's true. There's more space for his final position. So.
And he basically gave up on countercharging the Revenant Cav.
Yeah,
and
he
just
he
did
moved the
that.
Rabble on the left.
he just
Said-
disengaged and sidestepped.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which I think is good.
That's okay.
Yeah.
I think it's good.
Gives
He
him-
wasn't killing
gives him
them
more
anyways. He was losing that
Yeah.
grind.
Yeah, and now he
Just,
can position the Mincers to kill them next turn, maybe. I guess he's going to have to turn around to face the zombie trolls.
Yep. The 3, 6. Yeah, he's within 9 inches, and they go 12. He's going to have a lot of trouble with rocks in front of him.
He can't advance.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's not going to be able to get away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which way are the zombie trolls facing? Are they
He's gonna
facing
take
back?
zombies in the van.
They're facing
fire in the
they're
front.
facing the rear of the purple mincers,
Southwest.
southwest. Yeah.
Down table. Yeah, down
Mincer mob that's fighting the vampires, if they withdraw, do they catch them for a rear?
Looks like it might be less than an inch, but I don't think they can withdraw.
Yeah,
and pivot through the van.
The cab troop can't do that.
They're too long.
What?
They can't corkscrew. They're too
I'm
long.
not asking him to corkscrew.
Yeah,
if they-
you'll land on top of the vampire with your
Okay.
pivot.
Okay.
The pivot won't go to the vampire.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if you back up and then you do your nimble pivot as well, you're going to be facing the wrong direction.
Yep.
Yeah.
And your first pivot will land you
On them, which you can't do unless
nearly-
you're flying.
You'd have to do like a partial, like a
Right.
60-degree pivot. And then-
Right. You don't have the right base shape to pull off that maneuver and not land on. So that was Charlie's Clip of Death going off to put 1 wound on the White Horde in the pond and the vampire fighting the mob beasts. And now he's trying to decide what to do with the rest of the stuff. So at this point, you just send the rabble into something.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't just stand back and get like double or triple charged. Do you go smack whites? Do you go try to punch through zombies and keep going? You're going to get rear charged with a surge, kind of no matter where you go.
Zombies, you can kill them and then maybe advance outside of arc. I don't know.
Right, but he can just spin around and surge whites into your rear at that
If
point.
he, if he tried to.
Yeah. You're a rabble horde and you're facing 3 units that
Like,
you
what
can't kill.
can you? No, that's the thing. Is like if you just the zombies are the unit strength that you could remove most easily.
Right.
But you're like it's still
Yeah.
yeah because the wounded zombies are too far away behind the hill.
Yeah, at this point, Emiliano's just got so much unit strength across the table, and Jesse just doesn't have anything left that can punch them hard enough to pick them up over here on the right and in the middle. That it kind of doesn't matter what happens over on the left anymore with the other mincers. Like if they pick up the wraiths, that's good for him, and he can walk a couple of units across to get some unit strength across to score. But in this tournament, there is no bonus for getting scenario points, and you only have to win by 1 to win.
Yeah, there's no margin of victory points. Yeah,
Right. I think that was a Bane Chant roll on those Mincer mobs.
and then on the
Possibly a Bane
rabble-
Chant roll also on the Rabble. Yeah.
Yeah.
Only 6 hits against the Rev Cav.
3 wounds or 2 wounds. Oh, 2.
2 wounds. Yeah, we need fours the wound. Here's Maw Beast against the Vampire. 3 hits, only 1 wound. 6. Isn't really going to do anything to him. It's going to be a very quick turn.
Mm-hmm.
Just 1. D6. Yep, gets full 27 attacks. Oh, geez. Do they hit on 3s or 4s? They hit on 4s. Ugh, 27 dice, only 9 hits on 4s.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Oof. Now I just think salt being like ground into the wound.
But that's an 11 for the nerve check.
Yeah, brutal.
That's a 15, which is still 1 short, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Ugh.
Wonka, wonka, wonka.
Ugh. Ugh, man. That's so rough. That is so rough for Jesse. All right, Jesse's in a really tight spot here.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if there's really much of anything he can do to salvage.
Yeah, it looks like he'll probably only have the rabble on the left and the war machines, maybe not even them at this point.
Yeah, you can send the vampire with 4 wounds into one of the catapults just to get him out of the way, and then send the zombie trolls in. Yeah.
And then the race.
Send the whites into the rear of the rabble horde over on the right.
Yeah.
Yep.
So my charge I was describing with the Mincer or the Mob Beast pack, I think it's a possible charge, but the zombie trolls were not quite long enough. They didn't head far enough up to the north to get caught in it. But if you're a nimble unit and you are the shape that I just want to confirm like a rule thing here, they would be able to withdraw 1 inch, use their, if they could see the unit, use their first pivot to turn like most of a corkscrew, but not all of it. And then their second pivot so that they're angled like here's the vampire and they're angled like this. Yeah. And then their second pivot makes them like that and they charge off that way. Yeah. So if that zombie troll is
on the
like
other
an
side,
infantry horde,
I think you could.
I think if the zombie troll was an infantry horde, they could have done it. And
there
that's my weird. Room. It's more that they're going to charge up like up and to the left, and they still need to hit something when they do that.
Yeah.
Right.
But that could make it really weird.
Well, yeah, because like you're nimble, so you get that second pivot, and you just use that second pivot to pop over to the other side of the individual.
Yeah. So over here on the right, he's charged a character. He's charged his whiz with his whites, so then he can overrun into the rear, and then he's thrown both units of zombies in as well.
Yep.
Proof.
Well, yeah. At this point, just maximize dice.
Yep, and he sent one vampire into Charlie and the other into the flank of the Maw Beasts. And the way he's been rolling, he will probably pick up both of those.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, Charlie's in trouble because of Duelist, and then that'll get him all the bonus points. Except no monsters.
No monsters to kill, but he's gotten all the individuals, gotten a living legend, gotten Charlie.
23.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And this game was playing for third, right?
Second, probably.
Second. Okay.
Second place? Winner
I'm entering the results now, but I'll be sure.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure no one is catching Jeff Trace.
No. He had like 8 points on everybody, and he won, obviously, so he's ahead by I think 24. So
he got a little revenge against an undead army that is strikingly similar.
Yeah. Emiliano currently has 77 points, and the person currently listed in second has 96. So with a 20-point win, he'll be in second place, and he's going to get more than 20 points.
Yeah, I liked Alex's humble brag there. Like, oh, Jeff Trace got revenge beating an undead list after I beat him with an undead list.
Although I don't think I would have done nearly as well against his current Night Stalkers list. That is a nasty
list. Brutal list.
Yeah.
Night Stalkers are so good right now because they have like 4 or 5 different lists that all scare me. And that's when I know a list is good. When I'm like, I'm not even sure what build scares me the most.
Well, like double Void Lurker, triple Butcher, Flesh Ripper, triple Butchers is just like, that's just so much.
Yeah. And everything scores.
Yeah, plus like support. Yeah, it's just like,
Yeah.
very smart list.
Not sure what Jesse rolled Snake Eyes for, but that was Blizzard
Oh, that was Blizzard. Yeah,
at his other at his flag guy over there.
Yeah, because
there's nothing to surge, so time to Blizzard.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right, running through some combats here. Starting over on the left with Rev Cavs on Rabble Horde.
you know this game went well for Undead when there's a Rev Cav alive on turn 5.
Yes.
Yeah, really.
2 RevCav troops alive.
Yep.
2 out of 3. That's
Yeah, yeah, it's rough.
and both zombie regiments.
Yeah,
I just with the updated standings, Jeff Trish has 106, and second place is 96. And there's no one that hasn't played yet that is anywhere close to catching him.
all right. So unless something really, really, really crazy happens here in the last 2 turns, Emiliano is going to be bumping up into that second place spot.
Yeah, Paige already went to bed because he thought Undead had it. So now the goal is everyone in the chat needs to text Paige, message him, and oh my gosh, goblins! What did you see that?
You missed it.
So many Snake Eyes.
Snake Eyes and boxcars and
How did that happen? Never seen dice
mean, it
like
doesn't-
that before.
yeah.
So going back to the beginning, I still really do like Jesse's list. I just think
Yeah, it's. I played him the other day, and it's really tough. It's just that
So-
one. He was on his back foot.
32 charge, yeah.
Yeah,
so. That's
yeah,
that's sort of what I
the
wanted.
Vamp Peg and the Vamp, yeah.
That's what I wanted to chat about. Is like, is that the thing that went wrong, and now he's basically getting tabled, or was there other stuff in the deployment, like, while he's not on yet, and we can be mean for a moment, like what happened? We liked his list. Was it a deployment problem? Was it just that charge? Like, was it good rolling? What happened here? What's the autopsy on this poor goblin
I think a
corpse
lot
that
of
we're
it-
looking at?
If without that charge, that Peg has to be very careful about how it approaches this army. And Magua and Juice is a pretty good backfield protector for stuff like that.
Yeah.
So getting him in the backfield and removing Magua at the same time is like, bonus. I think it really changes.
Yeah, that's
the whole
true. They-
dynamic.
Mogul is there to prevent backfield charges.
right.
Right. And inspire the middle.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
And
like that was just like
he was
Yeah.
the,
Yeah,
the
I mean,
weak spot. Like the weak spot was you, Magua.
Yeah, I mean, other than that, like,
you're supposed to be
Emiliano
the
has
chosen one.
right? Emiliano has really not given him any openings anywhere
right.
either. Like his positioning's
Really,
been
yeah.
great. He's picked his charges well.
Yeah,
He's
he didn't give
rolled
him any
well.
room to breathe.
Yeah, nothing. Yeah, he kind of stepped on his throat in turn 2 and never let up.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
Yeah,
didn't-
I'm not-
He didn't.
I'm not sure what he needed to do, Jesse, on his own right, but it felt like he roadblocked himself and didn't have a clear way out.
Yeah.
Um,
See, he turned. Yeah, it was just wasting too many turns, just doing nothing.
Yeah,
I
he never
think
got any good shots.
Trying to
really
get
with
that
his
9
artillery.
unit strength across the board on the left, like just really not instead of trying and going to the center. I think he could have just been like, "I'm going
Yeah, just-
all
yeah,
in on the left," so that if things don't go perfectly for Emiliano on the right, then I have 9 points on him.
Yeah.
To force.
and then you start worrying about, then you're like, okay, I actually have to get my zombie
bring yourself
regiments across the board. I actually have to get some of this stuff, and it starts becoming, if that rabble had picked up the zombie
My internet connection
regiment,
decided I was talking for too long.
it sounds fair. Yeah, I think there was sort of you either commit to going around the rock or you commit to fighting within it. And Emiliano did a great job of sort of committing to to fight most of it within it. And the only thing you left out was one RevCav troop and then a Wraith regiment that could go either way. It could choose which side. And on the other side, there was a lot committed.
Well, that's a really... It's a big strength of units like RevCav and Wraiths against armies like goblins and trash armies. Is like just having those fearless, not too relatively inexpensive units just to get in the way of, and they can block up quite a bit more unit strength than they in points.
I'm wondering how many people approached this scenario on this map as a denied flank, because that piece of blocking terrain, those rocks in the middle of the table, does give you kind of a natural wall. And I know that in my game, my opponent did a denied flank deployment to me and rolled me. In this one, Emiliano kind of did a denied flank deployment and rolled him. And I feel like that might also be what happened in the earlier top table game of Jeff Trace kind of seriously stacked one side, denied a flank with like a Void Lurker or something like that, and then just rolled him. So I would be really interested to hear from other folks who played this scenario in this round, like how many of the winners just denied a flank, used that blocking terrain in the middle, and just wiped out one side.
Okay.
My game against Mike was
it's
like
a
that.
strong tactic.
The only side he had on the side of the left side of that rock was some Frost Fangs and a Frost Fang Lord. And I was able to take those out with shooting and Goblin Blasters, and then there was just nothing, and everything happened. Everything was to the right of it.
Now, if Dash 28 had the funding, and we could get a bunch of interns, right? What I would love to see is a heat map of where the heat map for where the combats occurred across this entire round. And that would be an amazing thing to sort of see as like a turn-by-turn heat map of unit and sort of combats taking place. Yeah. Because my guess is where we saw them all fight in this game is where a lot of those fights were happening every game.
Yeah.
So.
I think right in front of the pond or right in front of the hill on the left.
Or the forest.
Like those two spots.
Yeah. Depending on who picked which side and who went first. Yeah.
It's naturally what you would want to do if you're a defensive army in any way, shape, or form. Take the bottom side, anchor a flank around that rock, small holding force to the left of it to keep them honest. And at this, when you have elite units going up in a smaller frontage and the goblins just didn't have room or ability to make their larger numbers count, it's tough.
Yeah.
Like trying to turn the corner with
It's
rabble.
Concentration of force when the board gets struck. Yeah.
And I think the problem is when you turn that rabble in, you're basically just giving him a piece of terrain to just throw a vampire against, and now nothing gets past it. So.
But I think it's important to have when you're thinking about what maps you're going to use for your tournament and what scenarios you're going to pair them with. I feel like it's important to think about them as pairs, right? What map goes with what scenario, and what impact is that going to have on the strategies that people adopt, and try to put some head scratchers in there.
So you're in favor of tailoring each map, each round to each scenario.
A little bit, to at least not just leave it up to chance. So you wind up with one thing where somebody looks at the table and says, "Oh, well, obviously you just do this." Just to give the players that have, I think, a more flexible list, more opportunities to make use of that flexibility instead of giving one particular strategy maybe a coincidental advantage in one more game than they would normally get, since you're just doing it randomly, versus if you really thought about what armies you think are going to what sort of lists you think are going to perform well in a given scenario on a given map, and try to bring it back into balance a little bit by throwing a map in with the scenario that unlocks a few more list styles to have an opportunity to be successful.
Yeah, in the tournament I run, non-UB physical, I've kept it single map per table, switching out the scenarios, and part of that is entirely because I'm running it solo, and I do not want to change every map every round. As I'm doing the like 8 other things I need to do as a TO. So part of that is pure laziness. If I have someone helping, I might switch to the new map each round.
I just have the players do it.
Yeah.
Themselves. And like the little table number standee, I just put like all of the maps in there and just tell them to look on the thing, and then you don't have to pass out maps. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't trust my players.
No.
Sorry, Jeremy.
If you're still watching.
No, I'm it's fine. I've been looking at different ways to do it, so we'll see if that happens next time we're allowed to have actual tournaments, because I'm not actually sure I want to run a virtual tournament. Not that anything is wrong with it. It's entirely that it's actually more of a compliment to the scene. The reason I run a tournament is we don't have one in the Bay Area. We didn't, so it's that sort of like, if you want something, make it yourself. I run a tournament out of sort of necessity. I don't know that I would be a TO if I was in the Southeast region or that sort of thing, or Texas. So I run it because we need one. And a lot of great people have stepped up and run virtual tournaments, and virtual tournaments can be joined from anywhere. So, if it's not something I have a huge desire to run one differently or new, and I haven't found that thing in UB that I want to run, that makes it unique and interesting. So yeah, I'll just let all the other people run them, and when we have physical tournaments again, I'll go back to being a TO.
Yeah, I know. I run most of the tournaments around here, but Jesse actually ran a local UB tournament for the Canadian guys this summer after Call to Arms. It's good just to get more people involved too. Just let other people kind of put their spin on things.
And the things I like about running a tournament, some of it is still there. And like Mike, you actually did a great example of how you can make a lot of that hosting still there, even in a virtual tournament, with your sort of gifts and your all the different stuff in the hangout space. But a lot of what I get out of hosting a tournament just isn't quite there in the UB realm. So the effort reward is a little off.
Right.
But we'll see. I might be convinced to do it anyways. So,
well, I'm personally glad that someone is still running in-person tournaments in the Bay Area, because I have a fond memories and a lot of nostalgia for playing like in the old big Warhammer Bay Area tournaments back in the day, and I would hate for like nothing to, because like after what happened, the California TOs kind of didn't do what the South and Southeast TOs did. They didn't just pick up Kings of War and keep going. They all just sort of said, "Well, we quit. We're going to go play different games."
We're gonna stop. We're gonna just, instead of being war gamers with a drinking problem, some of them just decided like, wait, why am I wargaming?
Right. They just sort of leaned into the drinking part of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And like some of them started playing Malifaux, and some of them played Ninth Age, and like, the scene just split, and none of the clubs had enough people to run a tournament of any one system anymore, and like everything just kind of died for a couple of years.
So all of the sort of Kings of War scene is entirely sort of new. It's none of the leftover sort of Warhammer folks.
I love seeing the pictures from you guys' events, and I look and I'm like, I recognize 2 of those people from Warhammer, and it's a crowd of like 20 people. I'm like, I have no idea who the rest of those folks are or where they were back in the day,
So we were growing. We were small but growing, and then 2020 hit. So we'll see what we can pick up at the end of that. But we'll have a tournament. Anyone wants to come out, sunny Bay Area, and have some fun. We host well. We have a party house. We bring donuts every day. We're people.
We love you too, Sam.
But look, his Rabble
took out a
MVP Rabble.
Yeah.
Seriously. Roll for turn 7 and a turn 7.
You had me at donuts.
So he scores. As we've been jibber-jawing about old Warhammer refugees and virtual tournaments, those Rabbles have been having the game of their life.
Yeah,
that's right.
Oh, and he gets.
I feel like
Rabble over there saying, "I didn't hear no bell."
Ding, ding.
I ain't hear no bell.
Which way are they facing? Do they have a charge on those trolls' flank?
You're gonna have to pull me off these corpses.
That's right. I'll pull
I think
the
they're
corpses
facing
off of you, whichever.
To the middle of the board, yeah.
Yeah, they're facing to the middle. They can both see each other, and
Yeah.
I think they're both in each other's flanks.
Yeah, one or the other.
Well, the trolls just moved there, right?
Right.
So, yeah, the trolls there because they had gone to the forest to clear out the war machines last.
So
turn.
does he have a
Does
charge
he-
on their flank? Because like if he's losing on victory points, it doesn't matter.
So it depends what he does after. If they kill the ASB flag guy,
They can overrun.
Yeah, and if
yeah,
they
or
run,
turn.
No, they'll just pivot and give him a hindered charge, and those rabble won't do nothing.
Yeah.
Darn.
Yep. He's like, no,
Yep.
no
Yep.
reason to stop. Just this is what's happening.
Yeah.
Take your shot, rabble.
At some points.
Yeah.
Bottom of turn 7.
Is he over
Do it.
kitten mittens now with those last 2 kills?
He's definitely hitting it.
Yes. Yeah.
Three hits,
Three
one
hits,
damage.
1 wound.
Nope.
Oh.
That is not enough to break the trolls of Mordor.
Those zombie trolls have just been clawing back 1 wound a turn.
Yeah.
Until. All right.
All right.
Yeah.
So that is going to be game. Yeah.
5, 8.
Yeah. So there's really no
11.
reason to leave the table up here. We can zoom out and show everyone that the undead have clearly a ton of unit strength on the goblin side of the table, and the goblins have not successfully gotten anything onto the undead side of the table.
He could have. He could have probably, maybe, I don't know, sent those. It doesn't really matter though. I go for the charge.
Hello, how are you?
Hey. Oh, here comes Jesse.
Victory.
All right. Hi guys.
Hey.
How are you?
Thanks. So first, congratulations, Emiliano, on a very, very solid win. Condolences to Jesse. That was rough to watch, man. I think.
It was rough to play.
I think you kind of got put on the back foot with a charge in turn 2 in your backfield.
Yeah, it was the turn 2 charge. It hurt.
And so that was that was probably our biggest question of was that a charge that you kind of saw coming and figured you'd hold? Did you just miss it and he
thought I thought I had the angle where he wasn't going to be able to connect on a corner on the from the Pegasus. It was an oversight on my end, and as soon as that happened and I saw both get in, I knew it was just that was a big old nail. I mean, there was a slight chance if a couple of the mincers held, but losing Inspiring in my middle line there, and White's coming in and everything else, I knew as soon as that happened, it was going to be a rough show from that point on.
Yes. You moved Magua in at first between the chariots, the mincers, but then you go back. I think you was looking at the vampire and the individual vampire. I think I can connect with the two of them if you move forward. But okay.
Yeah, there was sort of the joke. We felt bad making it a little late, but the joke that it's like Magua and Jews is there to prevent sort of backfield charges and respond.
Yep.
And it was like, no.
He opened the door. The charge really just kind of reversed that completely.
You were the way into the backfield, not the stopper this time. No, but
he was the chosen one.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was. Yeah, and the Vampon Peg, once he was back there, he was doing some pretty serious work, getting a rear charge.
Yes. Yes, the rear charge was a lot. But then it stayed in a hard position because he had both of the Maubist, one on each side. So I left the back of the rear of the Pegasus to one of them, because in that moment he could charge also the whites to avoid a second charge against your mincer on the right, with the sharpness one. I charge with the whites, you kill me, and the another whites charge and kill you. But you think about it. You say charging the whites or the Pegasus, but the Pegasus on the back is terrible.
Yeah, honestly, at that point, it was pretty much just playing for points. Yeah.
F that guy in particular.
Yeah.
We did think
sending
that
a message.
Yeah, there you go. We did think that turn 2 when he jumped behind you, he'd taken out your inspiring source, and he had his hammers all moving up. That you did do a really good job trying to stop any double charges. Like you did a really good job, like moving your infantry up to stop them from doing that and limit them to single charges. So we thought that was a pretty good example of how to do damage control with infantry when you got a lot of heat coming on you real fast like that.
Yeah, when you're dealing with whites or anything like CS2 and above, you really want to make sure that, I mean, mincers are strong. Like a Dash 16, Def 6 at the front, they're good, but I mean, a double charge from whites can still push it over. So it was just trying to mitigate as much from that point on. Unfortunately, the Caterpillar ones couldn't hold. Once the Vampire's in the back line, Emiliano's list is just, it's great for when that Bruiser squad gets behind you, because they can just start opening up.
Yes. I try to do it with the Vampires. The Vampires on horses, I love it. They can stop a unit that doesn't hit very hard, like your Ordov in the center up the
rabble horde,
the stone, the rock.
And 2 turns, rabble
I
horde.
stop your rebel, and you can move the mincer behind also to that side. So yes, I love them. They work. They achieve a lot of functions.
Well, there's a special shout out to the rabble on our left, your right, Jesse. MVP rabble horde that was still alive at the end of the game.
Oh yeah, I know.
There's no quit in those goblins. They didn't hear a bell. So that was fun to watch.
They get extra gruel tonight.
They're getting upgraded to Luggets.
But it was a very well played game. Emiliano moved and positioned everything really well. Didn't really leave any openings. Didn't really make any mistakes. He's got a really tough list that he's clearly very practiced with. Used very well.
But the whole panel was big fans of your list as well, Jesse. We like both lists a lot. There's a reason you're where you're at in the tournament. That's a fun looking hard goblin list.
No, I've really been enjoying this list, and it's been performing quite well. That was just a grave error on my part, and Emiliano took advantage of every situation in this match. He played excellently, and he absolutely deserves the win on this one. That was just an A class on how to get your individuals and flying guys where they need to be when they need to be, and it hurt.
I had a little of luck because again you didn't allow any double charge, and I mostly need double charges to destroy the mincer. I was lucky with the Vampire. I do the extra wounds on the side to kill the middle one, the Pathfinder one.
Yeah,
but yes, was a good game.
You were saying it's about they're like 50-50s, and you got the good side of most of those 50-50 charges.
Yes, we'll win a lot of coin flips. Yep. Do we have any other questions? Anything else that came up? I can't think of anything. Anything from the stream?
Nope. Didn't look like anyone cheated. That's always good.
As far as we can tell.
I mean, halfway through, I could have probably started to, and I don't know if it would have changed anything.
just
all the Rattler speed 10 now.
Win if you can, lose if you must, but always cheat.
Always cheat. All right. Well, thanks to both of you for letting us watch a game. That was a great game. Congrats to Emiliano on the win, and I think Steve does that put him officially in second place? You figure?
Yeah. But because it's probably 20,
that'll be
24. No, because you don't have.
Oh, no monsters. Yeah, 23.
Yeah, 23-point win. So Emiliano, you'll go to 101.
Mhm.
So yeah, that'll put him comfortably in second place.
Okay, that's great.
Great. All right. So yeah, congrats. Thanks again, guys. I would like to thank Jesse and Emiliano for letting us watch their game, and I would like to thank Steve and Alex and Britton for hanging out with me and talking about the match. I hope everybody at home has enjoyed watching this. Thanks for watching us. We appreciate it. Make sure to subscribe to our channel so you can get notified early about upcoming matches. And if you've got any events going on that are happening online that you would like us to stream some of the games from, feel free to get in touch with us, either here by leaving a comment or by pinging us on Facebook, or leaving a comment on one of the articles on Dash 28 where we announce these live streams. We're always looking for more content to stream. And if you're interested in participating in commenting on any of the matches, drop me a line. I'm happy to have more people to rotate through and get some as many perspectives as possible on the gameplay. Other than that, I think that's it for us for today. So thanks again. I'm your host, Mike Adkins, saying you stay safe out there, and we will see you next time on Dash 28 Live.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thanks for having us. Bye.
Yep.
Thanks, guys.